See, some people burst, but I thrive under pressure. I hold them down from distance like I was playing catcher. I pray to God, life is crazy, you know he'll test you. For real. Yeah, you know he'll test you. I'm a living legend in the making, don't care what you think about it. The only time I step inside a bank is for deposit. Failure's always present, but for me it's not an option. Cause I gotta feed my family and I know the critics watch. They don't want to see you win, so they gon' try to stop it. A humble guy until you cross that line, then I'ma pop it. Choking out the competition on my Sergi Baca. Don't associate with lame haters, they are all imposters.
Welcome to the first episode of The Process. I'm Keone of Keone Productions. I'm here with the wonderful and amazing Deandre Presley. And just like we do with all our shows here, we always do the first episode to where you can meet the cast or the host, find out what they will be doing for their special show, what the future looks like, and get their motivation behind the creation of said show. So without further ado, we'll jump right into it. I'm here with Mr. Deandre Presley, the host of The Process. Go ahead and fill him in on who you are, Deandre.
Yo, I'm so super excited to be doing this show. I hope the whole static stuff is gone, but this is something, man, that has been in the works for a few months, almost to a year. This show kind of started out from a podcast kind of idea where I had the pleasure of meeting a bunch of not new people, but interesting people and a lot of successful people. And I wanted to have these curious conversations with people just about their process and how they got to where they are. A lot of people focus a lot on the end result, and they see somebody that's successful. I want to be there, but they don't know what kind of transpired from the beginning to where they are now. And so I wanted this show to be focusing on just the process and everything that happens in the middle. So that is the motivation behind the show.
You know, that's amazing that you talk about it, because both of us have either worked in or are in fields to where we're trying to get someone to a goal, right? And I always say there are two types of people in life. There are people who have goals, and there's people who implement their goals. Whether that's understanding what sub-goals you need to obtain that goal, or what are the benchmarks that you need to make to attain that goal. And I feel like, I'm not going to try to sound like some old guy railing on the generation or whatever, but it affects everybody today. No matter what age you are, a lot of people are getting in this mode of instant gratification. Hey, this is what I want to do. Why is it not happening within 48 hours? Speak on that a little bit.
I think today, man, we live in I say fast food society where people, like you said, people just want instant gratification. I own a gym here in Greenville, South Carolina called Metabolic, and I've been blessed to meet a lot of cool people, people who have these goals of, I just want to get stronger, or I want to lose weight. And then they start the process of losing the weight or getting stronger. And after a few weeks, they're like, oh, I don't see results. And it's like, hold on, wait a second. Like, this is a marathon. Like, I had this conversation with one of my friends the other day, and we were talking about how, actually, I had with my girlfriend, for example, we were talking about how, bad habits aren't formed overnight, that you have been doing something repetitively for so long, and it was a slow process into how you got to where you are. And so to think that you've created these negative habits for a period of time, and to think that they're just going to switch and change overnight, it's not going to happen. It's going to take a long time for that to build, and it's a consistency. So I just see people who think, oh, this is supposed to happen overnight, and it doesn't, and it doesn't work that way, and then they get discouraged, and then they quit. And it's like, no, man, just stick to the process. I hope that makes sense.
You know what? The process always makes sense to me, except if we're talking about like the Philadelphia 76ers process, but we're not getting into sports, right? But the roadblocks, the understanding that there's going to be roadblocks throughout, and there's only a couple of choices you have with those roadblocks, correct? You can either go through them, you can go around them and over them, or you can turn around and go home.
Yeah.
And I believe you're trying to limit the amount of people who are going to turn around and go home.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a mindset. I think success is a mindset coupled with your work ethic. A buddy of mine, me and Eddie, we were talking about this last night, and I was just telling him, I've had I was blessed to play football professionally for 4 years, and I got to witness the incredible work ethic of a lot of incredible superstars. For example, Steve Smith, he's a good friend of mine. I mean, this dude is up early and he's in the facility early, and he's done it. He did that for a number of years. And the thing that I realized is that it is a mindset. It is a mindset that starts with, I want to get here, and whatever I have to go through to get here, I'm going to go through it. I'm going to experience it, and I'm going to be, consistent with it. I read this quote that said, "Success loves consistency." So I think that's the thing too, is helping people to develop a mindset first of all, to stick to whatever goal you are setting out to accomplish.
Isn't it in what you just said through being in the NFL? People think that the people who have just like that God-given talent, like you're around people who had to, of course, work harder than others, but they think even the people who are just bigger, faster, stronger naturally than a lot of you don't work hard. I remember wrestling in high school. We had this guy named Sleepy, 3-time state wrestling champion. And the reason why it's called Sleepy is because he'd lay down in practice and fall asleep. He'd show up when he showed up. He'd lumber around. He was very, very not lazy in the sense that he never put in the work, but it was just that. But then he would match time, he'd just go destroy everybody. Whereas I would get the unsung hero every year because coach is like, you come to practice before time, you work hard than everybody during practice, and you stay 3 hours later. You just don't have the raw power and talent as everybody, but the work ethic was still there. And of course, he developed the work ethic, but those people who are bigger, faster, stronger, the ones who don't work hard, like you're saying, they eventually fade out. They may be hot for a minute, a year or two, but they fade out. Am I wrong in that assessment?
No, you're not wrong at all. When you were talking about that, I remember, this is a long time ago. I remember when I was in elementary school, right? There was this kid named James Mallard. James Mallard probably was one of the best hitters that I probably have ever seen. We were in 5th grade and he was already hitting the ball over MLB fields. But the thing about it, like I think his dad played played sports, but every single day, Jamie and his dad would be out on the baseball field, just batting practice, and then he get in the game, and I mean, it's like he can bunt the ball out of the park. But it was just one of those things that like he worked at it every single day. That's one example of someone who kind of that put in the work and the results showed. I've seen players, man, who God-given ability were just lazy, and can over time their career just fizzled out. I've seen it from college. I've seen it in the league where players who are tall, strong, fast, and they think, "Oh, my God-given ability is what's going to, sustain me in this career," and they don't make it. They do not make it. But I think people who have God-given ability, that are strong, that are fast, that are smart, whatever the case may be, if they just put the work ethic in it, man, they can write their own ticket and to wherever they want to go.
And now, sports aside, we don't want anybody to think we're just giving the old cliche. If you just work hard, everything will work out for you. We understand life dictates a lot, certain circumstances, but we're going to talk about in future episodes how if your life is set up a certain way, that you have to fight harder, but the reward can come. And the process is not just the process of becoming a professional player or process of owning your own business. It's also the process of you as a person.
Absolutely.
So while you're working on your goals, you also have to continue to work on yourself. I think you're going to cover a lot about that in on the show. For instance, segue into the weekly wins.
So weekly wins, man. This part excites me. So I have a business partner. He's become a really good friend and a mentor of mine. His name is Evan Lindsay. Evan, and probably one of the smartest business dudes that I've met. We always start our meetings off with, what is your win? Like, what is your weekly win? Like, what has happened that, something that was positive, something that you were grateful for? Because I think in our society, there's so much negative stuff going on that people too often get focused on the negative things that are happening. And there are positive things that are happening all around, but they don't see it. And so when he introduced the whole "what's your weekly win" or "what is your win," that kind of helped me switch my mindset to seek something positive that has happened. And so, what today's Thursday? I say a weekly win for me is I've since I stopped playing football, I've been on this journey of self-discovery, figuring out who I am, figuring out what I love to do. Not what people have told me to do or who I should be. And those passions have led me into music. I've jumped into modeling. I'm now going into acting, which a lot of people have been like, "How are you going to do it all?" And my response is, there's somebody somewhere around this world that's doing that exact thing, and if they can do it, so can I. But one of my weekly win is I auditioned for 2 plays here in South Carolina, and I got the role for both of those. So I'm like super geeked to step into this acting and theater, go on this venture, man. So that's my weekly win. What would be your weekly win?
My weekly win was simple. It was my birthday yesterday. That was my weekly win. I survived another birthday, and everyone, of course, the first thing they say is, "What did you do?" And it's very funny. This sounds boring to a lot of people, but they got it at the end of the conversation. I woke up, I cleaned my apartment, I went to get something to eat at my favorite place, and then I watched movies and relaxed the entire day. I didn't answer the phone. I didn't text any thank you from happy birthdays. I didn't talk to any of my students, any of my employees, any of my coworkers, bosses. I didn't talk to anyone. I made like 3 phone calls that day, and I just wanted a relaxing day because, like you said, sometimes when you're gaining your success, you get a lot busier.
Yeah, okay? Absolutely.
You have to take those moments to relax. Sure, I would have loved to go out and party for the birthday and have all that. I can do that Friday. My birthday fell on Wednesday. So I chose the day to be a relaxing day. And that was my win because I don't do that enough.
Right. Man, I don't think a lot of people rest enough, to be honest with you.
You ever went on vacation and you're supposed to be doing stuff, and then you find out, I've been in this hotel room watching TV for 3 hours because your body's like,
Right. Man, I think to your point of just resting, like just resting, I don't think people do it enough. We think about it, like there's playing sports. I've always heard no days off. I don't take no days off. And it's like, as I'm 32, but as I've gotten older and have been understanding the process, is like, there's no way that you can just go. Like, your body will start to break down, especially if you're someone who is pushing towards a certain fitness goal. Your body will start to break down. You can plateau, and then you get to a point where you're like, well, I'm not necessarily seeing results. And it's like, well, okay, you're eating well, cool. You're working out. Are you resting? Like, are you giving your body that time to recover? And most people don't. Because there's this no breaks, no days off, and it's like that's not a winning formula, in my opinion.
contributed to why we're looking younger at a certain age than people before us. It's not just the nutrition and the better healthcare, but also you remember watching father work 7 days a week. No, we took a vacation maybe 3 days in the summer, and then it was back to him working 2 jobs and go, 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 go. And that stuff ages you as well when you don't take the time to recuperate. That's also a part of your process. You can't obtain these goals if you don't do self-maintenance.
You can't. You can't. Think about like driving a car, for example. Think about like you just run your car. I mean, yeah, you put gas in it, but you don't service it. You don't rotate the tires. You don't change the oil. Like you gonna run that car into the ground, and it can be a great car, but if you don't do the necessary maintenance, you're gonna end up running that car into the ground. And I think that's what sometimes what people do with their bodies is that they don't do the necessary maintenance. Shoot, man, when I played football, I used to see guys like guys would go get manicures and manicures is your feet, right?
No, pedicures.
Pedicures, yeah. They would go get pedicures.
Receivers, right? Receivers were getting the pedicures, right?
No, it would be receivers, it'd be defensive linemen, it'd be linebackers, but it's just like they would go get pedicures. And I'm like, why are you doing what are you doing that for? And they were like, somebody was like, if you don't take care of your body ain't gonna take care of you. I was like, it's not gonna take care of you. So I would see they would go get pedicures, they would sit in the cold tub, they would get massages, man, all kinds of different things that they would do, just maintenance to help their body recover so that they can play longer. And so, you have to have that necessary recovery as part of your process. You know what I mean?
I'm following you to a T, and that's what we want our audience to follow you. The process will come to you weekly on Thursdays, 3 p.m. on KeoneProductions.com. You can watch the you can watch the episode after it's been aired on KeoneProductions.com. You can watch it live on YouTube, following Keone Productions. Make sure you're following Deandre on Instagram. What's your Instagram, Deandre?
Deandre Presley Music.
Deandre Presley Music. You'll see him on there. Make sure you follow that. You can also follow Keone Productions on email. We're going to have a plethora of guests for you. Sometimes Deandre will be giving you some mindful tips and helps, and we'll have a specific subject that we want to hammer down, along with always our weekly wins, because we always want to end on positivity. And we will have guests from all walks of life, whether they're professional sports players, whether they're business owners, whether they're a restaurant owner, whether they're a teacher, whether anyone who has had major success in their life. We're going to bring them to you so they can share their process and how they to the level that they are and how they followed that process.
Yeah. So, you Keone, you've done acting, you've done modeling. Tell our viewers, what is your story? How did you get into acting and modeling and now being a coach yourself?
Well, that's a funny story. It's one of those things I wanted to do as a teenager, but and people say this, it doesn't mean bad parenting. My dad was like, you got to get a real job. And it's not that they don't think you can do it. It's just that they know how it can be to have your dreams crushed and then you have nothing to fall back on. And I think parents of that age, instead of saying, hey, do that, but have this to fall back on, they would immediately go to, you've got to get a real job. You can't be a rapper. You can't be a rock star. You can't be an athlete. You can't be this, and that. So I never thought of anything negative from my grandfather or my dad. So, of course, I didn't do that, got into sports, went in the Army, did 20 years. But when I had about 5 years left in the Army, I looked around, I said, I don't want to be that guy that retires from the military and every day I'm on post in somebody's way doing something, So what am I going to do for this next part of my life? And I said, why don't I go back into the acting that I wanted to do? I had no intentions of modeling. I just wanted to go into acting. So I went and got trained in acting. I went through this acting and management division called Avanti. I did a showcase. I got signed by an agent. I did it. I did a couple episodes on a TV show. I was in a movie, but then I started coaching. And when I started coaching, of course, that became a greater feeling from me. I miss that I don't go and audition as much as I used to, but seeing the success of others, seeing other people who have their dream of making it, do it is what fulfills me. Now, it was very hard because when I was just getting to the level of success I wanted, I got sick, didn't work for 10 months, lost the house that I just bought and had to go through bankruptcy. So I was in that crossroad of giving up or saying, what made me not give up is there were too many people depending on me. Whether the boss, and when I say my boss, she's my friend. And it's not like she was depending on me like, you got to get to work. But she was my friend. Her support, my older sister, my dad, the students, the talent, my friends that weren't at the level that I am right now or was trying to get to. And so a lot of things I had to consider, and that's what helped me. And I was like, I've got to keep going in this process. I've got to keep going because not only me, selfishly, there's so many people that are dependent upon me. And when you feel that you have something to give, you need to jump on it because that's how you live. Everybody out there listening, that's how you truly live forever. That's the only way to live forever. Being famous is whatever. Eventually, you'll be forgotten. There are famous movie stars from the 30s or 50s, nobody talks about anymore, right? But if you teach someone something and they keep teaching that to the next person, that's how you live forever. You're living in that information. So that's how good. And then a whole bunch of other things. We if it was an hour show today, I could get into the backstory of all the pitfalls and roadblocks because I think those are important too. I gave everybody the summary and the one thing I overcame, but there was a lot of roadblocks. That a lot of people would give up on. I know one episode that we're going to do is we're going to talk about the everybody gets a trophy culture and how that may hurt or help someone's process. Because I know that's a deep one. I didn't want to just throw it out there and we talk about it for 5 seconds.
I feel like that'll get a lot of people like, yeah, and then that'll get a lot of people that's like, oh, wait a minute now, hold on. But you said that when you started the acting and the modeling that you had people saying, kind of trying to sway you to get a real job. And what I found and with me wanting to now go into, I call it the arts, so acting, singing, theater and all this other stuff, I have had people that have stated to me to get a real job. And what I have come to find is that they are projecting their fears onto you. And what happens a lot of times is people project their fears onto you. And if you take on those fears, you will then stop yourself and minimize yourself from going after whatever it is that whatever your dream is. I heard this pastor say one time, everybody's not going to understand your calling. They're not going to understand your dream because it wasn't spoken to them. And so tell us a little bit about how did it make you feel when your passion was like, no, I want to go do this, but you had the people that were closest to you that should have been encouraging you to go in that direction, kind of stalling you and telling you, hey, you should just go get a real job. How did that make you feel?
It didn't affect me like it does most because the people that were telling me that were my dad and grandfather, who I greatly respected, but they did this thing called they explained. They never did that thing as do this because I said so because you're a child. They always took the time to explain things to me. Now, if it was coming from people and friends, but I didn't talk to friends and people about this, I talked to my dad and grandfather. So I had a little a different intake. And I know exactly where you're coming from because when I talked about it as an adult, though, to friends. That's when I got the friends like, well, you know, you're 38 because that's how it was at the time. You really want to get, I'm like, as if every actor on TV is 25 and younger, right? And so I picked up on that exactly how I said it because they didn't accomplish their goal or they can't do it. They're telling you it's not realistic. What's realistic for you may not be realistic for others. Now, looking back, two things. One, what I probably should have done as a teenager, and I tell teenagers this to this day, if you have something that's not a regular job that your parents think you should get, that you want to put your efforts into, you know those summer jobs you get and cutting people's grass? What I should have did when I was working at the grocery store is take that money and pay for acting classes instead of going across the street to the mall and buying Jordans and playing video games. That's what I probably should have done. But I'm not going to hold that as a regret because I always say when you go back and change something, your journey's different. So if I go back and change that or that didn't happen, I may not be sitting here talking to you about this. I might be doing something totally different.
Yeah.
I try to not regret my decisions, but understand them. That way, when I'm giving the advice to someone who's now going through it, I can better advise them. And I never tell people exactly what to do when I'm advising them. I give them options.
Yeah.
Because I'm giving people avenues instead of saying, this is what you need to do on this path.
Oh, dude, I no that's really good because I've had it where it's like, no, you should do this. This is what you need to be doing. And it's like, why is that my only like, you know what I'm saying? Like being a father, you know, I think that is the biggest one. Everybody, it's like everybody tells you how to parent, how to be a parent when it's like, yo, the way you parent and discipline your kid, it's gonna be different than how I discipline my kid. You know, like I have 3 kids, right? A 7-year-old, 5-year-old, and a 2-year-old.
You can't even discipline them all the same way because people don't. Kids are people. They all have different temperaments, different characteristics.
You cannot, man. Like my 7-year-old, I swear, this is a genius. I like it. Like she's a prodigy. Like man, her name's Sophia. Like she is just she's awesome, man. Like she didn't start walking, she started running. You know, it was like our thing for her was like, Sia, you need to slow down. You need to slow down. But like for her, she's one of those kids. She and I are the exact same. Like if you see her, you see me. So when you are, she's one of those that she's gonna push the boundary. You know, she's gonna push the boundary. So you got to discipline her a little bit more stern. My 5-year-old daughter, her name is Demi. You look at Demi the wrong way, and she's just gonna melt. You know, so she's one of those that you probably possibly could talk to. My 2-year-old son, Dawson, we're still figuring that out. You know, he's in this stage where everything is no, and he's back talking now. So we kind of figured that out. Yeah, but it's you can't discipline them all the same because even them, they're going through their own process. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things that like everybody's process is different, and I don't think you should limit people to just one way of doing things. I believe that there's multiple ways to skin a cat, and so you find what works best for you, and you do that. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean, and again, that's a whole show right there. I take care of my nephew for a year and a half. Was supposed to be until he was 18 when he was like 14. And everybody I worked with that was a parent wanted to give me their parental advice. And I'm like, your child's a mess. Why would I be listening to you? I'm like, I got this. I'll handle this. You fix whatever you got going over there before you give me advice. So what we're going to do right now is I'm going to step out of the way and Deandre is going to see you guys out and give you some good advice and good wishes to lead you into this weekend early. And we will see you every Wednesday at 3 p.m.
Yeah, so everybody, first of all, to everyone who's tuned in, first of all, thank you so much for tuning in. It means more to me than you will ever know, or I'll have the words to fully explain. You know, I'm in a bit of a process myself with, you know, being in the gym, that was a whole thing coming off of COVID. That has been a battle. But going through a process of singing and being an artist and having a band and going into modeling and going into acting, it is all a new process. But some of the things I look back at when I played football, and when I came into football, a lot of people don't know this. It wasn't that I was just in love with football. I came into football or went after football because I didn't want to be in the streets. I didn't want to be like everybody else that was selling drugs. I didn't want to be like everybody that was out in gangs. And it seemed like at one point when I was in high school, somebody was either fighting or dying every weekend. And it was just like, I don't want to be a part of that. So I chose to play football as a way to get away from all the nonsense. And as I started playing, I had coaches say, man, you're really good. You're a good quarterback. You can throw. You can do this. And I had the fortunate thing for me was I had people in my life and throughout my life's process that always kind of pushed me to push me for more. And so one of the things I would love to encourage people, everyone that is tuned in, is that no matter what it is that you want to do or you're passionate about, go after it. Go after it with everything that you have, because I believe God will put the people in your path who are meant to guide you and be a stepping stone and helping you reach to whatever your calling is. So I would say go after that. The second thing I would say to people is really be careful with who you share your dream with. I didn't understand this until we started having kids. People don't tell they're pregnant until a certain point in the pregnancy, because there are a lot of different complications that can happen at the point. But one of the things I will say is that everybody that you think is with you and on your side, they're not. So please be careful with who you are sharing your dreams with. And then once you start to go after your dreams, commit to the process. I had a coach that said this when I was in college: commit to the process and the outcome is guaranteed. So if I can encourage everyone with from the beginning of the show, and as you go into your weekend, man, sit down and take some time, think about what it is that you want to do, because that's what the purpose of this show is, to encourage everyone to go after what it is that they want to do. And I know there'll be a lot of backfire, like, well, I don't know if I have the funds to do this, or I have a family, or which are all legit things. But once again, I'm a firm believer that whatever you want to do or whatever you've been called to do, God will put the people, the funds, the resources in place. You just have to have the courage to go after it. And once you go after it, commit to it. It's going to be scary, but that's where faith and courage come together. So appreciate you guys for tuning in. Tune in next Thursday, same time, 3:00 for episode 2 of The Process. Thank you guys.